Chaos. Welcome to Hello Chaos, a weekly podcast exploring the messy and chaotic lives and minds of founders, entrepreneurs, and innovators. Every week, we talk to entrepreneurs from different industries at different company stages of all shapes and sizes. We like to hear the real, the raw, and the unbiased founder stories. Talk about the good, the great, the ugly, all parts of being a founder. And it's why our mantra is where aha meets oh shit. We drop new episodes every Sundays, so founders can listen to us on a Sunday afternoon as they prep for the week, or maybe their drive in on Monday to the office. HelloCast is one of the many resources brought to you by OrangeWIP. That is OrangeWIP, WIP for work in progress. OrangeWIP is a multimedia company dedicated to serving founders and entrepreneurs in affiliate cities through hyperlocal media platforms that have been designed to inform, inspire, and create connections in the local market to help founders succeed. OrangeWIP is an all-in-one content hub with fresh and engaging stories, curated calendars, and local dynamic roadmaps to help the founder navigate their local entrepreneurial ecosystem with ease. We've really done all the hard work for founders, so they only need to go to one trusted source to find all the local information they might need. My name is Jennifer Sutton. My friends and family call me JJ. I'm the founder of OrangeWIP and will be your host today. And I'm excited to have Robert White with Dolphin Entertainment coming to us out of, where are you, out of New York, Robert?
Based out of New York, yeah.
All right.
I was going to say
Well,
nice rainy. It's a nice rainy day today.
rainy day. Yeah, we've
Mhm.
actually got finally sunshine here in South Carolina. But thanks for joining us. Welcome to Hello Chaos.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Well, why don't you just start us out and just tell us about your entrepreneurial journey? How did you get started in this?
How did I get started? Okay.
Yeah.
So my journey kind of goes back to a little bit of childhood stuff. When I was a teenager, I moved from New York to Nashville, Tennessee.
Mm.
Um, my mom and her husband at the time took a job at a very kind of cool cafe. It was like a writer's night cafe. They had songwriters perform there. Some of the major artists that were in town would come there and perform their new songs so people could hear them and they can get an audience, recommendation about them. So they started working there. So as a high school student, I was going to school during the day and then I would spend time with them at night at this cafe. And really kind of got bit by like the music industry and learning a lot about it. I started performing there. I was a songwriter and I learned how to play guitar. And it was
Wow.
kind of a unique concept because I was playing, I was hanging out in the back room where they call it the tuning room, right? And all
Yeah.
these artists would come there to tune their guitars. I would sit back there and practice in the evenings, and these guys would come through and teach me chords. So I was learning how to play guitar from these great guitar players and even some celebrities. It was kind of a very unique kind
That's
of experience to grow up in.
amazing.
Yeah, so I did that for a while, and then got a little bit older and decided I was going to come back to New York. And when I came back to New York to be around family, I then had songwriting under my belt. I was playing guitar, so I started playing out in local places around town, and people started, coming to the shows and recognized me as like a singer-songwriter in New York. And then from that, I kind of switched gears. I started building family and I met somebody and had kids. And so I still wanted to have music as part of my world, but I just couldn't do the performing aspect of it like that anymore. It was tough to kind of find time to, write when you've got new kids in the house now.
That's right.
And
Right.
so it converted from songwriting to disc jockeying. So I actually became a DJ.
Ah.
Um,
Ah.
and so I started doing a lot of that stuff. And so then it wasn't like, oh, you could use your name, Robert White, as your DJ name. You needed to have something cool that people would remember. So I called myself DJ Dolphin because I was a Miami Dolphin fan.
I was wondering where the dolphin came into.
This is exactly where it comes into play. Yeah. So when I started my company in 2013, this is right near the end of my DJ career, I
Mhm.
wanted people to know who I was still. That's why
Mm.
it was called Dolphin Entertainment Company, so that people knew in my local area that Dolphin was running this or that they knew me as DJ Dolphin.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where the start of the name came from. But the start of the company really came from being in Nashville and having a lot of interesting context. A lot of people that were starving artists when I was in Nashville, we all grew up, and I started my own company, entertainment company, but they all started like becoming the presidents of ASCAP and becoming really well-known writers and becoming these incredible people in the music industry. And that network allowed me to really kind of launch careers and do stuff for people that were smaller. And that was kind of the whole gas of the company, and why I started it was I was going to be, the next big talent manager for musical art,
Yeah.
because I had great connections that were lifelong friends. So
Well, has your dream been realized? Or
no,
are you still
no.
working towards it?
I'm still working towards it. The thing is, and I think what most people don't understand about entrepreneurship and kind of starting your own business is, obviously there's a lot of struggle in the beginning, but
Yeah.
the audience that you cater to sometimes directs you in different places, and
Yeah.
they tell you what they really want from you, and you don't get to tell them what you want, right? So like you may create a really great product, and everyone's like, oh, we're not using this, maybe you should try something else. And
Yeah.
that's kind of what I did. I was doing a very specific service and offering some stuff, and nothing was clicking, but people were saying, hey, maybe if we had this, maybe if we were doing this, this would make more sense. And so my company actually transitioned in, like, I'd say 2016 ish.
So about 3 years after you started it, you were like, I got to pivot.
It did. Yeah, it was a huge
Yeah.
pivot. And we actually jumped into the publication industry, and I got to tap back into my writing, but now I owned publications, and
Ah,
still working with some talent, but a different direction. I wasn't even working with musical talent. I was working with models and working in the modeling industry in the very beginning.
oh my goodness. So that did take a big pivot.
Yeah, it did. It was interesting. It changed because of a friend. I have a friend that lives in Toronto who was working for a very large modeling agency at the time. And we were having a conversation. And I said, hey, the way that we book talent, like musical acts and stuff,
Right.
it's exactly the same way you book models. And she's like, no, actually, it's not the same concept. That's a little bit different. And I'm like, no, I think I could do it. And so it was a friendly bet where I was like, I'm going to find any random girl that I think could be a model, and I'm going to go book her the same way I book a musical talent and see if she gets anything going. And that's exactly what I did. And it did. It worked. So it turned into one after the other after the other. And at one point, we had a talent agency of about 300 women at one point. They were all female models. So
Wow. And so you said that you did some publications and all that. Was that just like more education to the models or the
yeah.
musicians of like how things work, or?
So we had a lot of models that weren't well known. No one knew who they were. They were not big names. And I kind of sat down with a bunch of them in a meeting room one time, and I was like, okay, what's the aha thing? What do you need to happen so that you made it in this career? I need a goal. I need to know how to make you excited. And a lot of the answers were, I want to be published in a major publication. Everybody wants to be published. That makes a lot of sense.
Right.
And so I was like, well, let's see what we have. And so I started hustling. My sales guy came out, and I was like, okay, we're going to call Cosmopolitan. We're going to call Vogue. We're going to call all these companies and see if we can get girls that were the girls next door that nobody knew published in these publications. And they were just no, 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 no after a while. And I was like, you know what? We need a yes. And if I can't get a yes, I'll build a yes. And so I built publications, and that kind of like launched it. And we used the original publication that I launched as a calling card, basically. And we only published the girls that I worked with, and we put it out to a lot of different places so people could see the entertainment that we had or people that we were working with. And that's how we used it as a booking guide. We would mail it to people, and then they would be able to look through and read articles about the talent and then book them through the magazine. That's how it started.
Oh my gosh. Do you still do that today, or has it evolved?
We do. It's all evolved now. Yeah. So it started as a magazine called Splash Magazine. We needed something that was affiliated with Dolphin Entertainment Company.
Yeah.
And people started seeing it on social media and reaching out to me saying, hey, I want to get published in this publication. How do I do it? I'm like, well, our rule is that we don't publish anyone outside of our agency. So if you work with our agency, then we, brag you up in this publication.
It's like a recruitment. Yeah.
Exactly.
Recruitment.
So I was like, well, if people really want to get published, then maybe we should just do a full-on publication. We'll keep the name, and we'll just start bringing other people in. And so that's what we did. And kind of had a bunch of talent from outside that started getting published, more high-end people. So we had very kind of, I say A, B, C list celebrities that were getting published in Splash, but those people were the ones that were our influencers and promoted the younger people that or the newer people coming in that were in the publication for us. So it was
Gotcha.
a different strategy, but it worked for the marketing aspect. Um, and then as it grew, I also grew.
Mm,
Got a little bit more mature as a man. And I was like, you know
mm,
what? Splash was really kind of focused on glamour and swimwear and things like that, those kind of models. And I wanted to go a different direction. And so we launched a new brand called Savoir Faire in 2018.
uh,
And that was a men's lifestyle publication. It was
Yeah,
more classy. It was high fashion models, more entertainment based. And that's what we still have today is Savoir Faire. So
very good. And that's still going strong. And that's do you guys actually print that? It's like, or is it all digital or?
yeah, it's 100% digital at this point, but we do have an option for people to purchase a print copy. But our
Uh-huh.
print copies are not traditional magazines; they're like coffee books, so coffee
Oh my
stand books.
goodness.
So they're
Okay.
very thick and a little bit more pricey than most. And we kind of set it up that way so that we could stir people away from the print option and just do digital 100%. So it's kind
Yeah,
of set up that way. But if people are like, "Hey, I'm in the publication, I want to buy it," well, then this is the price point, and
that's
this is the product you're going
and
to get.
we'll give it to you. That's
Exactly.
right. So you talked about kind of like your, the the struggle of kind of your aha of pivoting, and that was kind of your that most entrepreneurs don't realize that you're going to have to do something like that. Is there another like we call it the myths of or misperceptions or misconceptions of being an entrepreneur? Is there another story or anything else that you would go, no, there's a bigger myth out there, and how would you debunk it?
The biggest myth. I think that a lot of people look for the home run when they start a business. They
Mm,
think that I have this great idea and I'm going to start a business, and day one, everyone's going to love it. They're all going to buy it and I'm going to be rich. And that is the biggest myth in entrepreneurship. Like
yeah.
the way that I talk to people in general about starting a business when I communicate with people is if you're working a full-time job, you stay at that full-time job and you keep hustling. And nights and
Mm,
weekends, you're doing your entrepreneur job, and when the entrepreneur job money equals your daytime job, then you switch. Then you can quit that job and you can be full-time entrepreneur. But
right.
not until that money is equal to what you're currently making. It doesn't make any sense to go the rough route. I had a different way to enter into entrepreneurship. I actually
Mm-hmm.
lost a job. I was working for a newspaper and I got let go from the job. I was able to collect unemployment like most people do.
Right.
And at the same time that I was doing that in the state of New York, a program came out from the state that said, we'll let you collect unemployment and start a business if you go through these 10 steps.
Oh,
And so I signed up for this program. I went through a 10-step program and I was able to continue to be on unemployment and make revenue with my business as long as I was meeting with like a business coach on a monthly basis or something like that. It was a kind
well,
of a cool program that they created in New York State at the time.
yeah, that's fantastic. That's really kind of nurturing that the entrepreneur spirit, but not trying to punish them, right? I mean, it's
Yeah, yeah, actually,
that.
yeah, absolutely. But I mean, and the myth aspect, most people don't get that benefit. Maybe you don't live in New York. So the true story is, I'm sure you have a great idea and I'm sure people will love it, but it's going to take time to educate them about what you created and why yours is so unique, why
Mhm.
your service is so unique. And you just have to go out there and kind of keep your day job and hustle. Like, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you're going to be working 100 hours a week, not 40.
Right, right. As I've joked about it with other founders of that 4-day work week is not for us. Like
No, it's not.
that book
Absolutely
is
not.
not was not written for us people. Um,
It's true.
so so you've been so it's been 10 years or a little over 10 years since you've done your journey.
Yeah, we're
Um,
pushing 11 years in
uh,
September, so that's pretty
that's
good.
fantastic. Congratulations. That's a
Thank
big
you.
deal. So out of that, your last 10 years, what's been your biggest kind of aha moment? Was it the
My
pivoting? Like I have to go now I have to pivot, or was there anything else that you were like,
no,
man,
my moment comes down to this, I think. My aha moment is this, and it's more advice for any entrepreneur that's listening. Um, there is this tough part that I just mentioned, obviously, of having to do a lot of hard work. It's not going to take off.
right.
But there's also this other part of it where if you don't try, you will never find out if it's going to work or not.
Huh.
And so my aha moment in business in general is, yes, I have a magazine publication. I actually have two now. Um, we have a marketing company. We have a
Mm,
PR agency. We launched all these things because I've learned all these skills over the last 11
right.
years. And then most recently, we launched the clothing brand. And it was like, I'm going to do this because I want to, because I've learned enough about this industry that I can just go out and do it. And
Right.
the aha moment for me was like, just go try. If it fails, it fails. It's okay. We can move
Right.
on to the next project. But I think when you really just go for it, you also learn a lot about yourself
Yeah.
personally. So that's kind of
Oh,
my aha moment. Yeah.
that's a good point. That's been my journey of when you hit the excitement of I have the idea, you learn a lot, and then when you hit the wall, I caught the oh shit
Yes.
moments. You also learn a lot. What what's
Absolutely.
what has been your biggest like oh shit, the biggest challenge, and how did you overcome it?
Oh man.
Or maybe
There's
you're still in it.
I may be still in it. There's been a lot of them. I'll try to pinpoint one that kind of narrows it down a little bit. Um, I think my oh shit moment really is that you're going to struggle financially.
Mm,
Like entrepreneurship. I mean, 11 years, great. I'm glad I've been in this for a decade.
that's
But
right.
the idea of it is that I have had to put my company on hold and
Mm.
work for somebody else. I've had to
Huh?
do things to make sure there was food on the table. It wasn't a smooth ride to get to where I am at this point where
Yeah.
I can just decide how my schedule is going to be and I can have a little freedom when I want it. Like it took some time to get there. And you have to kind of realize that falling back or having that, oh crap moment, how am I going to feed myself? You
Mhm.
have to realize you're going to have to fall back and get a job. I can tell you from experience, though, when you put that you own a company and you've been doing it for 6 years and you're looking for a part-time job, they all say yes, because the experience there of like your work ethic and things that you actually
Mm.
do, people love that. So, I mean, I've done security jobs, I've done um, some customer service jobs, some things that I'm like really good at, but they weren't full-time commitments. They were just enough to get me through this stint until my
To
company
the
brought
hard
revenue
times.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Right.
And Robert, that's really a testament to your personality of, y- you know, I know a lot of entrepreneurs that would never do that because of ego or pride, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So the fact that you did that to to have that perseverance speaks volumes about you. So kudos. That's a
Thank you
lesson
for
learned
that.
to a lot of founders out there that you might have to set some ego and some pride aside and go work, even if it's part time. But I also know people who needed to put their company on hold to go um, work for somebody else, and they were like, "I can't do it. That's a
Yeah.
failure." And I'm like, but you gotta
For
eat.
me, yes, absolutely. You got to eat. That's
You
the
gotta
answer. You
eat.
got to eat. You got to pay the bills. You got to pay rent, whatever you're doing. The biggest thing for me when I took other jobs in my process was it killed me as a person. I felt like a failure because here I am, this business owner, and everybody knows you as that,
Right,
but yet they see you working at this customer service job and they're like, what's going on here? This doesn't add up correctly. And
right.
what I've done is just make sure that when I do work outside of my company and do jobs like that, that footprint that I make in the community that regards is kind of smaller because I don't want a
Right.
bunch of people to see me that in that regard. Like,
Mm,
oh, that guy owns a company. Yeah, he's in here serving us food. Like, I don't understand what's going on there.
right.
So it's still a pride game for sure.
Yeah,
But you just have to do what you have to do to keep moving forward. I mean, there's an end game mission eventually with my company to either sell it to a larger company, pass it on as generational wealth potentially to my children or something.
yeah.
So to keep that going, I'll do anything to make that work.
That's right. And to eventually get you have more freedom. That's what I was like.
Yes.
Somebody asked me the other day, like, "What is your end game?" And I was like, "Freedom." Like free like
Yeah.
not yeah, that's a big one for me. Um,
Yep.
so so if you had to change 2 things about your company today, what 2 things would you change about it?
What would I change?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was listening to actually some other entrepreneurs speak on your podcast, by the way.
Uh-huh.
So people should go
Wow.
listen to some other people. And I agreed with a podcast guest that you had who said that the biggest thing right now is adding other people to the fold and bringing
Mm,
other people in that can bring their expertise into the fold. I've been an entrepreneur for a lot of years, and I've worked with a lot of independent contractors. Basically, I've been the
Yeah.
only employee for my company, and I'm okay with that. But there still is kind of an aspect of I need more people so that this can grow, and I
Yeah.
don't think it will ever grow unless you add more people to the fold.
Yep.
Um, and get more information from other knowledge from other people and have them bring their ideas to the table. I think that's the unique way. So people is a big one. Um, and I wish like the common one is probably like I need more capital, but I don't need more capital. I just need really strong people that believe in what I'm doing,
Mm,
to really kind of bring their energy and their ideas and give them something. If one hand washes the other situation happens quite often, then those people are going to be okay with bringing their time, energy, effort, even their money into a company to help it grow.
that's
And you
right.
look, yeah, and you're looking through those people for networking and stuff, or to be
That,
investors or something. You're not they don't need to be I need money to pay employees. Just go out and find good people that will help you grow your company, and they want to help you grow your company because on the back end they feel that pride and that sense of I did something and helped somebody.
that's right. That's right. So okay, so what gets you out of bed in the morning? Like what is,
um
what drives you?
Yeah, it's this business for sure. I wake up every day at 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. I go to bed around 12:30, 1 o'clock at night. I sleep 6.5 hours every day, no matter what, religiously, because I know that I want to be up and I've got things to do.
Yeah.
And my schedule is never the same thing. I mean, people work in, factories and other businesses all their lives, and it's the same thing every day. Mine's not. I have
Yeah.
a phone call with someone I'm interviewing for a magazine. And then the next moment I'll be working on a marketing campaign. And the next work minute I'll be talking to a model about how to get successful in this industry, her industry. Like my day is different every day, all day.
That's right.
And so it's just exciting. And it's something that I fell in love with. And so there's nothing that doesn't stop me from getting out of bed when I think about the things that I get to do in a day.
That's right. You love the chaos. It's like
I love
we're
the chaos. Absolutely.
that's what it's like. We welcome chaos. Well, I was like,
Yep.
I try to structure and organize it, but I still love it. Like I
Yep.
thrive in it.
Yep.
Um, so
Absolutely.
Robert, what would people be surprised to learn about you that's not on LinkedIn or not on a resume? I mean, you've got an interesting, journey, but is there anything that you'd be like, nobody knows this about me, but it's pretty cool?
The biggest thing about me is I'm a parent.
Mm.
And it's
How
something
many
that's
kids?
been there
How
from
many kids?
I have 6
Whoa! What are the ages?
there.
You got
3 boys and 3 girls. The oldest is 24 and the youngest is 14.
oh my
Um,
goodness.
two in college, one living on her own. I have grandchildren. I have 2 grandsons that are little now.
Oh my
Um,
god.
yeah, and then I
You
have a
have a
bunch of teenagers that
full
are about to go into college soon.
yeah. So you gotta keep working and burning that midnight oil. I was like, I have 4 kids. My oldest is 23. She'll be 24 in a couple months, and my youngest just turned
Yep.
13. So um
Yeah.
I feel your
I
pain.
go off and I completely thank you for that. I go off into different categories sometimes and just think about stuff. And something that caught my attention a few years ago was checking out the family. I wanted to know about my heritage and all that stuff. I wanted to know
Yeah.
what everyone else before me had ever done. And all of my research from my dad's side of the family and my mother's side of the family, there's not a single entrepreneur in the family tree at all.
What?
Everybody was a laborer. They all worked for somebody else. They all made their money some
Okay.
other way. There was no entrepreneur at all. And so when I learned that I was the first, or when I learned that I was the one kind of shaping a different direction in the family tree, I
Yeah.
knew that that was my motivation. And knowing that there's 6 branches underneath me, that makes a lot of sense for me to build a platform that they could launch from.
That's
So
right.
they're young adults right now, but we live for a long time. So my whole goal in the next 5 to 10 years is get this company where it needs to be before the younger 3 are in college and out of school, because
Yeah.
then they may take it over. I may just give the company to all of them and say, here you go. If you need me, call me. I'll be on a beach somewhere. But like,
That's right. That's
so it's
right.
very possible that.
Yeah, I mean, I know several founders who are working towards, they've got their family included. They have a path for their teenage and college kids to be a part of it.
Hmm.
So, And I also know other founders. I come from the marketing side. I have a marketing agency as another business, and I worked in agencies 20, 30 years.
Hmm.
And the person I learned from the most, he tried to give it to his. I laugh. I was like, he tried his hardest to give it to his kids.
Yep. Yep.
And they worked for him. They both worked for him for about 2 years out of college, and they were like, "Nope, hard nope. I don't want to be involved in
Yeah. And
this
I've kind of,
business at all." So, and I know my kid. Like I've tried to get my kids. Like I think I might have potential in my younger two. They might want to, but the older two were like, No, thank you. We do not like marketing."
right. And I don't know if my children are going to love all the things that I do, but there's so many different things that I'm sure they'll
Yeah,
attach to something. And that's kind of my goal, is that if I give them a lot of opportunity and a lot of options, then I think that I'm kind of planting a seed that's going to go on and keep the name alive.
absolutely.
But
Yeah,
if they don't want it, then, and I give the company to them equally, and I'm talking about literally signing over shares to the company to my
yeah,
children, like making them the bosses. If they don't want to be a part of it, they can sell it and sell their share to the family and get the money
yeah.
and do what they want to do, which is okay.
That is okay. Yeah. Um, so what do you do for your free time? Do you still play music? I mean, are you still like
Yeah,
writing
I have a guitar. I'll say that. It's got
that you
more
stare
dust.
at?
It's got more dust on it than my windows do. That's for sure. But like it probably needs to be played a little bit more. I don't mind strumming it on occasion and kind of reliving some younger years, but I feel like that part of me is. I went from a songwriter to now an editor, and I write a lot of
Uh,
content about other people, and I'm really comfortable being like behind the scenes in that regard. Um, so yeah, I think music is a part of me. On the weekends, I like to travel a
mm,
little bit. I'm completely okay with kind of exploring more areas that I haven't gone to. I feel like at my age, I'm in the perspective of maybe midlife crisis, where I want to see a whole lot more of the world than I have in the
right.
last 40 years. So there's a good chance that there'll be more traveling in the future, but there's still a lot of things to line up to figure out how you manage that and still run a business. So
Absolutely. That's what I said. Freedom. It's
freedom.
freedom.
Yeah,
That's the
I
goal.
want the freedom. I'm getting greedy now. So
uh, so you've given a lot of good advice already, but what's the best piece of advice that you received from somebody else that really influenced how you make decisions or how you run your business?
I think the the stuff that I pay attention to and the things that I watch from other entrepreneurs to learn from is
Hmm.
really just people that aren't even here anymore. One of my biggest quotes, which is cool, it's from Mark Twain. He basically said there's two great days in a man's life: the one when he was born, and the second one when he realizes why he was. And when
Oh,
I
that's a
found
good
out
one.
that my family tree was all 9 to 5ers and no entrepreneurial spirit in there, I was like, okay, that's why I was born. That's my aha
That's
moment.
your why.
That's it. So
Yeah.
yeah. And so that's one of the biggest things that inspires me, is that quotes, it's near and dear. It's in my wallet. I look at it on occasion. But I've definitely watched a bunch of other entrepreneurs that are in the space that I'm into. I mean, I'm in so many different
Oh, yeah.
categories that you have to look at different people, but their journey is what I pay attention to. I'm not a
Mm.
person that gets wrapped up in celebrity. I can meet a celebrity and I'll be like, "Hey, you are a damn good actor. I really appreciate your work," but I don't get involved in the whole hype of that industry in that
Yeah.
way.
And they
It's
probably
more like,
appreciate that.
yeah, for sure. Hey, I'm the editor of a magazine. I'd love to put you on a cover so we could sell more magazines. How do we make that happen?
Right,
Like,
right.
I want the business perspective of it. I don't want the, oh my gosh, you're not going to believe who I just met. Like,
That's right.
I'm not a fan person. But I do respect hard work, and I do respect being successful in your craft. And so, yeah, I just pay attention to what other people are doing in industries and try to mimic what they are doing. I don't think that I'm reinventing anything. I think I'm just watching what's working and trying to mimic that, and then putting my own flair into that
Yeah.
experience.
Is there anybody that you really that you are very inspired by, like, their journey? Um,
Um, yeah, there's a couple of people that I'm inspired by for sure. I listened a lot to Gary Vaynerchuk.
oh yeah,
Um, Recently,
Gary V.
I love the just the hardship of him. Like, he's very unfiltered, and that's cool.
That's right. The
And
directness, I love
I
it.
Yep. I would say Tommy Hilfiger in the fashion industry,
Mm,
not only as a fashion designer and what they created with that brand,
mhm.
but I would say like as a business person and the changes that he made. The small part that people don't. I'm from the same town Tommy is,
Ah,
and I'm not. I'm now getting into this fashion industry, so I'm watching and mirroring exactly what was happening with him in the '70s when he was launching that brand and
yeah,
what was happening and how it was developing. So there's people like that I pay attention to. It's like, yes, I want to be you, but I need to go back to where you began to figure out how you started so I can do the same path.
that's right. And then kind of watch how
Yeah.
they've evolved. I think I heard him speak. I mean, just he is a very humble person that I think still holds on to like small town roots and um,
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah.
I've met him. I met him here in our hometown. He did a
Oh,
book signing for his book, and I went and we talked a little bit. Uniquely enough, I put his brother and some of his family on the cover of my magazines before. So I've met some of the brothers and sisters of the group.
nice.
He's got a large family. There's not just him, there's like 6 or 7 kids.
Oh my
And
goodness.
so
I did not know.
yeah, it's been cool to intermix with them and learn a little bit stuff from them. There's some pretty cool pictures of Tommy's family and myself, like, connecting and talking and stuff. So it was cool to get his book. He autographed it for me.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit about business, but it's small talk. And so that was okay.
Yeah. Sometimes it's at least he didn't disappoint you. That's always the worst when you're like, "Ah, I'm gonna meet he says this guy's my hero or this girl's my hero, and then they're, total assholes, and you're like, "Ah, hey."
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I like a little bit of that drama actually. I like the idea of the like, oh, here's someone that you truly respect, and then you find out
And
from
then
someone in the industry, like, hey, you don't want to meet
you
them.
don't
You
wanna
really
know
don't.
them. Or when you
Yeah.
meet them in person and you're like, "Ugh, they are miserable. They are awful people." That
I
was
I had one of those experiences. I hate to brag
ooh,
like
can you
this, but
share? Can
like,
you share? Share it.
yeah, I'll drop the T right now because it's worth talking about.
All right.
So we know about the song "Walk It Out." It was a big hit,
Yeah.
hip hop.
Yeah, yeah.
DJ Unk, we'll say. Um, my 40th birthday was a few years ago, and I decided to splurge a little bit, and I was going to hold a public concert in my small hometown in a nightclub. And
Yeah.
so I booked DJ Unk to come and perform. And so we wanted to have, that was the music of the genre that I grew up with. And so
Right.
I booked him to come and play. He showed up. We flew him in, gave him a room, and the concert was supposed to be about an hour and a half of a
Mm,
local disc jockey that was really well known. And then DJ Unk was going to perform, and it was going to be about an hour and a half show. He's
yeah.
got a lot more songs than Walk It Out and a couple others. So I was like, I just want you to do your whole album, like an hour and a half,
Yeah.
and we'll pay you. And so he came in, and around 8 o'clock, before the other DJ had even gone up, he said, I'm ready. Let's do this. And he got on stage and did a 15-minute set and never went back up.
Ugh.
And pre-gaming, he was like literally the drunkest and highest person I've ever met in my life.
Oh,
So
no.
it was a bad experience. So like
Yeah.
here I am like listening to this music and you can't get away from the song. It's in movies, it's on the radio still,
That's
it's
right.
everywhere. Legendary guy for creating what he created, but in his adult life at this point, he's just
He's a
not
mess.
the guy. He's a mess. Yeah.
He's a mess.
So I
Disappointing
I
birthday present.
very yeah, I mean, it was cool to have him there. There's some photos and things like that, right? But like the idea is that I booked you to do a specific thing for me, and he did not deliver. So
That's right.
I'm okay with kind of saying, hey, this is not a guy you want to book. I don't care how
That's right.
affordable it is. You don't want the environment around you. So
No, I've got friends in the entertainment business, and that their motto has always been, doesn't matter how small your audience is or how big you play, you play 100% your heart out, whether you've got 2 people in the audience
absolutely,
or 80,000. You work it, because it's your
that's
reputation, your brand. So, and
yeah,
it
that's
needs to be
true.
consistent. Yeah,
And word of mouth is that way. It doesn't matter if you're playing to a room of 100 people or you're playing to hundreds of thousands. The
that's
negative
right.
stories travel a lot faster than positive ones do.
That's right.
So you need to make sure you're constantly putting on the best opportunity you can.
Exactly. I think, somebody was describing how that's how Taylor Swift kinda made it, is that she worked it. She wasn't the greatest guitar player or the greatest singer, but man, she knew how to network and just perform consistently and putting her heart into it, and it didn't matter. if who was in the audience,
Yeah.
but and somebody was
And
like, watch her at award ceremony. She's never in her chair. She's always up, greeting
Mhm.
other people, meeting other people, sending follow-up gifts to people that have just, her and
Yeah.
Kelly Clarkson, that relationship of I'm sure like Kelly said, why are you just not
Right.
re-recording them? And so now every time Taylor gets like another hit or like another milestone, she sends Kelly Clarkson flowers to go, thank you for
Mhm.
just making that. Like, I think she tweeted it. It wasn't even like an interview. It was, you just need to do it. And so
Yeah.
that's kind of the stories of you hear of people that just have gumption and grit and
Yeah,
perseverance.
you learn about when you're networking, people talk to you about networking and how you do all
Yeah.
that stuff. And they say you're only like 3 people away from the people you really want to meet, right?
Yeah.
That's a kind of a
Oh,
concept that
that's a
people
good
talk
one.
about. So I'll give you 2 quick stories on both
Yeah.
sides of the story you just mentioned. So I was in New York City and I was about to get on a bus because it's about 4 hours ride from where I live to go to New York City. And I never drive in the city. That's not my thing.
Oh,
So
no. Ugh.
take the bus. And I was sitting in this bus stop and there was some older women, I'd say like probably 4 or 5 of them, right? And they were easily in their 70s and they were like talking about this party weekend they had and they were having such a good time and they're separating to go home. And I ended up on the same bus as one of these ladies. So I was about 1 seat away from her and I was like, hey, I'm not to be nosy, but like, at your age, what does a party weekend consist of?
Yeah.
Like, what did you guys
That
do?
would be a
And
good
so,
question. Yeah.
yeah, and so she kind of laughed a little bit, and she was like, "Well, I'm going to read my book, but in a few minutes, why don't you come sit next to me and I'll tell you about my weekend?"
Hmm.
I was like, "Okay, that's interesting." So
Yeah.
she read a book like an hour into our bus ride. And eventually, she turned around and said, "Robert, come here. You can come sit with me, and I'll talk to you about my weekend now." She was like, I was on her time, 100%.
Right.
So I'm talking to her, and she was like, what do you do for a living? After she told me about her party weekend, what
Right.
do you do for a living? And I said, oh, I work in the entertainment industry and I do some other things. And she was like, oh, my grandson works in the entertainment industry. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. I'm like, what does your grandson do? And she said, he owns a record label. And I was like, very cool. Is it well
Oh,
known? And she's like, oh, yeah, it's pretty
yeah.
well known. She's like, let me show you a picture of him. She grabbed her phone and showed me a picture of her, Scooty Braun, and Bieber all
Oh
together
my
in
God.
a photo. I said, which one's your grandson? And she was like, that one in the middle. So Scooter Braun was her grandson. And I was
Oh
like,
my goodness.
now we got this whole thing figured out, right? So now
Yeah.
I'm talking to her about that. Very interested in like, give me your business card. She ran a radio show. I emailed her back then. I would say years ago. She gave me an email. I sent an email. She forwarded it off for me. So that was kind of a cool thing to kind of connect with that
That's
group,
right.
completely random. And then the Taylor Swift side of it is this. Taylor Swift is from a small town in Pennsylvania, about a half
Mhm.
an hour from where I live. So we kind of grew up in the same environment. Taylor Swift went to the same high school in Nashville that I did 10 years after I did.
Oh, wow.
So we kind of were on the
You
same
have that
track.
little connection. Yeah.
She's following me. So 10 years from now, she's going to do something else that I've done. But yeah, so we had the Nashville vibe. We had the move there for music type of vibe. And we went to the same high school together, or not together, but 10 years apart. So,
Right. 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 We
yeah.
are like I know Kevin Bacon's like the 6 degrees of separation, but you're right. Networking, maybe
Yeah.
it's the three. Yeah.
It's
3
3 in
steps from
networking. Yeah.
somebody. That's
3
right.
steps from any person you want to meet. You just got to find the right people.
Just
So,
got to find the right people. I love it. All right. Last question for you.
okay.
What, if you had to sum up your entrepreneurial journey in just one word, what would that word be and why?
The word would be legacy.
Oh, okay.
And the reason why is because that's exactly what I want to leave behind. I want to
Yeah.
change my entire family tree. I want my children to hopefully live through some of the lessons that I've taught and things that I've done. They're going to learn about what their dad did through podcasts, through other posts that are on social media, because that's where their
Yeah.
attention is. And I just hope that like, that's the legacy of me, is that I changed the trajectory of the family tree.
I love it. I ask this question to everybody and I get a different answer every time. And I think that's beautiful. All right, Robert, how can people connect with you and learn more about you? How do you want them to reach out to you?
Yeah, the website's the best place to go to make first contact, dolphinentertainmentcompany.com. Make sure it's dolphinentertainmentcompany.com and not Dolphin Entertainment, because there is a Dolphin Entertainment based in Florida that's a lot bigger company than I am. Um, and they get my phone calls and I get theirs. So make
That's
sure you go to dolphinentertainmentcompany.com. Um, and then, yeah, anything from there should be options to contact or write or, send a message or something.
Well, perfect. Well, I thank you for having you on today and taking your time. I'm always amazed how fast these things go, but I
Mhm.
really enjoyed the conversation, get to know you better, Robert, and I hope we can meet in real life somewhere.
Yeah, I would love that. Thanks so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for hanging out. For everyone listening or watching, thank you for joining us. Again, this podcast episode will be published this coming Sunday and available on all podcast platforms. So subscribe to Hello Chaos, like, comment, and share this great content and help us grow and build a more connected entrepreneurial community. Hello Chaos is one of the many resources brought to you by OrangeWIP. That's WIP for Work in Progress. We are a multimedia company dedicated to serving founders and entrepreneurs in affiliate cities. We are 100% free and right now in 3 South Carolina cities. That is in the Greenville, Columbia, and Charleston areas. We are hoping to expand to other markets over the next few years. So every city needs an OrangeWIP in order to have a more connected entrepreneurial community. Check out the latest edition. That's our April edition. We've got some great entrepreneur stories, great photography, the roadmap, and curated calendars are there. So go ahead, subscribe, support us. We'd appreciate it. If you'd like to be a guest on our podcast, please send us an email to hello@orangewhip.com. Y'all, thank you for tuning in to Hello Chaos. It's where aha meets oh shit. I'm your host, Jennifer Sutton, JJ, and I'll see you again next week.